Right. Next, we have an amazing panel who will join us on stage. It's being moderated by Saracina Tukin. We're joined by Axel Rademacher, Eric Lentil, Bonnie Simi, and Lavera Alexander. They're going to talk about what's happening in our region and what they're up to. And so they will do some self-introductions. Again, thank you so much, Assemblywoman Wilson, for your remarks. And these are the folks actually making it happen around advanced air mobility in our region and in our state, and actually nationally. And Saracina will talk briefly about her background as well. Again, thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Lori Wilson. For those of you that don't know me, I think I was sitting on stage a couple of years ago when I was on the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination Leadership Act. First of all, I want to thank actually the Monterey Bay, the whole aviation ecosystem, the pioneers here that are advancing this air mobility era that we have. I had previously retired from the Department of Transportation, and my last stint was as a national expert at the Highly Automated System Safety Center of Excellence, and I led the implementation of the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination and Leadership Act, which was actually a bipartisan act. It was enacted in 2022, October 2022, and it directed the DOT to coordinate across the entire federal government. That was 22 federal agencies at the time. It included the Department of Energy, the Department of War, or DOD, Department of Commerce, NASA, Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and the National Forest Service, and several other agencies. And it was, and coordinating across 20 federal agencies on an act to establish our advanced air mobility national strategy. The aviation industry, in coordination with Senator Moran, had pushed this bill through because we had at the time what they felt was we lost the drone industry. And this was a rapidly emerging aviation sector that they did not, as Americans, we won World War II, and we didn't want to lose our aviation leadership in this new age. And the Coordination Leadership Act was actually showed that we would grow new transportation options, amplify economic activity and jobs, advance environmental sustainability, new technologies, and support our emergency preparedness and competitiveness. I want to just mention that when we coordinated the interagency working group across the 22 federal agencies, we had to first select everybody from the federal agencies. This took about 6 months, but also have baseline understanding of what advanced air mobility was. And then the second thing we had to do was actually show that this industry was maturing, and it's here now. And I actually brought the 22 federal agencies in here to Monterey Bay in June of 2023. And we went to 3 of the airports, Salinas, Hollister, and Marina, for watching Joby, Archer, and WIS flights. And everyone on the Advanced Air Mobility Agency working group was really surprised that this was actually a mature industry here. So I want to say that Monterey Bay, we've actually leaned in, we've actually done what the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination Leadership Act already does. We also, as part of the group, I want to mention also that this is still under embargo. The national report was done when I retired, and we were supposed to do a release of the act last week at in Las Vegas with the secretary. But because of the shutdown, they are now not releasing it till after the shutdown. So I do want to thank everybody who had been my federal colleagues that were working on this act. Things that we agreed on was, number one, what is advanced air mobility? There are a lot of acronyms in advanced air mobility, and I do want to say this is the national definition, where AM is a rapidly emerging new sector of the aerospace industry that aims to safely and efficiently integrate highly automated aircraft into American airspace. It's not a single technology. It's not eVTOL when people talk to me. It's actually a collection of technologies that are aviation technologies, particularly to new aircraft types, but not necessarily, because here in California, we also have some companies that are creating automation systems for existing aircraft. AAM is designed to deliver agile, affordable, and accessible flights across all Americans, and it's also driving new infrastructure development, employment, and innovation. Anyway, it's a lot to do, but basically the act that is written will keep America as a world leader in aviation. It'll introduce innovative aircraft to move people and cargo, develop quieter and more affordable flight options. We're going to build and adopt smarter and accessible infrastructure, and we're going to finally enable regional air service and connect urban, rural, and suburban communities across countries. I want to say when LIFT is still part of the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination Leadership National Strategy, and when the L stands for leverage existing programs to support innovation and begin operations. LIFT, to me, means also leveraging our current infrastructure, the 5,000 general aviation airports. Here in California, we have 300 general aviation airports. And we already in the Monterey Bay, we've already initiated engagement with partners and research and development and smart planning. We've been forging new policy and funding models, such as the $7.5 million grant for the CAMSI project that we'll talk about. Thank you, Lavera. And we've been transforming the aviation ecosystem, and that's everything from the suppliers to the manufacturing supply chains to also the developers of the smart infrastructure and the systems that support it. And with that, I'm going to introduce the pioneers of this advanced air mobility ecosystem here. The first one is Eric.
Hi, nice to be here today. I'm Eric Lentell. I'm the Chief Strategy and Legal Officer at Archer Aviation. I've been with the company going on about 5 years now. Started when we were about 75 people, and we're about 1,500 today. And we flight test every day over in Salinas. So super proud to be a part of the community and really thankful for the support we've gotten over the years.
And I'm Bonnie Simi. It's great to see you all again. I was speaking at this conference a couple of years ago. I'm a native Northern Californian and native in aviation in Northern California. I started my aviation career here. I can remember quite fondly teaching students instrument procedures, flying Salinas, Watsonville, Monterey, and even flew approaches into Fort Ord when it was Fort Ord Airport at the time. Went into aviation, was a pilot at United, at JetBlue, and now I'm at Joby. Joby, we are very locally based. So I'll start here in Marina. We have about 650 employees. Then our headquarters is Santa Cruz, so it's about 1,000 employees total within the Central Coast. Within California, about 1,500, 2,500 globally, so global companies, 7 countries, 4 continents. We do all of our flight testing right here down the road. We are currently flying 3 aircraft here, but we are global, so we're flying. We just finished a big event in Osaka, the World's Expo, flying our aircraft at the World's Expo in Japan. And we have another aircraft in the Middle East where we'll be flying here coming up in about a month at a Dubai Air Show. So very excited to talk about, this is truly the center of AAM, and yes, we're right here employing lots of people in this community.
Hello, I'm Axel Rademacher. I'm co-founder and head of product at Otis Aviation. At Otis, we're taking a slightly different approach. We're doing a graduated approach, starting with UAV and then going to passenger transport. We're focused on regional distances, which allows us to connect major cities, but also connect rural areas and use underserved airports and general aviation airports and really take advantage of these to make connectivity better over longer distances. For example, my trip here from Orange County to Monterey took 5.5 hours yesterday, and we would really like to do that in 1.5 hours to 2 hours. We're also a hybrid product, so we have a hybrid propulsion system, which makes us a little unique, that allows us to get to further ranges. I mentioned we have a graduated approach. Our first product is a UAV, logistics, multi-mission, dual use, and that is larger enough to have material impact and really have high-value service to underserved areas that need high-priority cargo, or even ISR missions, but also very good for defense missions. Our future product, our North Star, is passenger transport. Our aircraft will be a 9-passenger aircraft, hybrid propulsion, fly from here to Orange County, here to San Francisco, even here to Las Vegas, right? Make those trips today where you don't know if you should drive or fly. You want to take an Otis.
Lavera Alexander, Chief Growth Officer for MBEP and also the lead for CAMZ. We were the lead applicant for the proposal, MBEP, and so we got it over the finish line and secured that $7.5 million. And so I'm here on this panel to talk about CAMZ and how it fits into this space.
There it is. So I'm going to ask, I know we only have a half an hour here and there's a lot to chew on, and also there's all these acronyms. So Bonnie, AM represents not just a technological leap, but a workforce opportunity. How is Joby thinking about building local talent pipelines and ensuring that the benefits of this emerging industry reach the surrounding communities?
Sure. This is, as many of you who know me, workforce development is something near and dear to my heart. It is true that the Joby aircraft is a really cool aircraft, as are all of the aircraft here, but it takes people to build them. It takes people to maintain them. It takes people to fly them. And this local community, which, as I mentioned, we have 650 people working literally 10 minutes down the road from here, don't naturally come with this talent, with this experience here from this region. And so if we were to continue to try to hire people, we'd have to bring them from elsewhere. Again, that brings a lot of expense. It's hard to get people to move. And so we kind of flipped it on its head and said, okay, how can we actually create the workforce here? And so we've been very, very involved with many of the organizations here. And we started in particular with our manufacturing technicians. So it is a skill. We asked our manufacturing leaders, what is the core skill that is required the raw talent that is required for someone to be good in composite layups, for example. I mean, you don't pop out knowing how to do composite layups. There's some skills. Well, you need attention to detail, you need focus, good hand-eye coordination. And so we went out into the community and we found people who are auto mechanics, butchers, seamstresses, agricultural workers. It takes a lot of hand-eye dexterity to find the right crops to be picking. And so we created a training program to take these people literally from all these various communities, and we put them through some partnerships of many of the organizations here, MBEP, DART, the James Irvine Foundation, many of the colleges supported some grants for us for these apprentices with zero experience to come in. We gave them free training over the course of 6 months. And the success rate of those people after 6 months was higher than the people we were hiring off the street with experience. And so that program now is, that is how we mainly hire our frontline technicians in the area. And then what's really exciting is after they gain, and this program's been going on for about 3 years, they gain more experience. They can move now into maintenance. And so we're starting maintenance technician, and we have our first apprentices there because we talk about, and many of you have heard of pilot shortages. Well, there's actually maintenance shortages. So we're actually organically growing right here in the community maintainers. And one of my favorite quotes from one of our early composite tech apprentices, and he was a butcher in Seaside. And he said, we were filming him, and he was so proud to be working on this aircraft, and the interviewer said, "What do you want to be in 5 years?" He says, "Well, I want to be a pilot." And so we also have a path, a pilot academy for our employees and for the public to become eVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft pilots.
Thank you, Bonnie. I will have to ask if it's not AM, please say out loud your acronym. So, in fact, I have a question for the audience, because I know, what does actually UAS stand for? So it's uncrewed aerial systems. I know people say unmanned, but the actual word is uncrewed. Okay, so Eric, this is a question for you because my husband and I think Tara, we went to the Salinas Air Show, and the announcer said that Archer is the 2028 air taxi provider for the LA 2028 Olympics. When I was on the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination and Leadership Working Group, there was a group called the Aviation Impacted Communities Alliance. They must have sent 300 letters to us. They represented about 90 communities, many of which were in LA, that basically said, we don't want these AM flying around in our neighborhood. They don't, they're noisy. That was a general education. They're not noisy, of course. And for the safety of the public, and they didn't trust these new vehicles. So how is Archer engaging with the community to overcome the public acceptance hurdles?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not just an Archer issue. It's an industry issue. We've heard so much about these aircraft over the last 5-10 years as they've been going through this R&D stage, and we're now, as an industry, maturing into that commercialization stage. And this is the natural evolution. You've seen it in the unmanned automobile space as they've gotten introduced into San Francisco, Austin, other markets, and slowly made their way out. So we're thinking about it very similarly to you've seen in the auto space. Look, we've got to prove out to the communities that these are safe, they are low noise, right? And they are cost efficient from that perspective. And so that's what the next few years of this journey look like from a technology, whether it's Archer, Joby, some of the other leaders, Beta, that are coming to market over the next couple of years. We've got to prove out to communities that we have a place in your community, that this technology can bring great change and bring great opportunity to the communities that we're going to operate in. And we've got to make it something that communities want, not something that communities are fighting.
And Axel, you have a unique product. Actually, you are coming out with two different platforms. One is an uncrewed aerial system, a UAV, a cargo plane. That's a smaller version of what you mentioned as your 9-passenger aircraft, the vertical takeoff and landing, the hybrid. So why are you developing both? And what are your plans for that?
Yes, we're taking a graduated approach, starting with lower risk, lower cost entry into the market, really to de-risk the company, de-risk the technology, and start revenue operations sooner. And so, as you mentioned, our first product is an uncrewed aerial vehicle, a UAV. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's a multi-mission dual use, so both commercial and defense purposes. This really allows us to build a company in the tech and serve markets that have immediate need today. So the aircraft is not small. It's not something that takes a burrito around. This is something that can carry 120, 130 pounds and go up to 450 miles. There's a very strong immediate need in some areas for high priority logistics. If you have a piece of equipment that costs sometimes tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars an hour, right? Where today a helicopter is taking a small tool or a small repair part out to an oil platform. That's something that should be done with our aircraft at far lower cost and far more sustainable. Likewise, there are people that have to inspect large areas. Yes, if you look at normal ISR aircraft, they have long endurance, long loiter, but some people need to cover a lot of area, and a faster, more capable aircraft will do that. Think of hundreds of miles of pipelines or search and rescue along the coast. And so there's a near-term immediate need that is really asking for this today.
For your aircraft, how do you envision your technology transforming mobility for communities like those along California's Central Coast? I know you mentioned Monterey to Orange County. We'll go Monterey up to Seattle, or Monterey.
Definitely Monterey to Los Angeles. I need to check how far Seattle is. We do want to go up to 750 miles. So we
It's
do
about
want to cover long
750.
distances, right? And so this is really a great product for connecting mega regions, right? And connecting rural areas to larger cities, right? And so the drive that maybe takes, I don't know, 1.5 hours here to San Jose, you could take it with our aircraft and do that in 20 to 30 minutes, right? Or go to San Francisco, or go even further, go up to Napa, right? And so with volume, with new infrastructure from people like Joby and Archer building it out, and with the existing infrastructure you have here, your airports, your general aviation airports, or maybe even new infrastructure, we can really have high frequency connectivity at a very reasonable price. In fact, at longer distances, this actually gets competitive with driving. If you have a family of 5 in a minivan, it's probably cheaper to take the minivan. But if you want to do a trip into the city, and especially if you don't want to stay overnight, this becomes very, very competitive.
Thank you. So Eric, we saw a demonstration flight at Salinas earlier this month. So you guys are moving rapidly from prototype to production and commercial service. You want to be you are the air taxi provider for the 2028 Olympics. What current milestones are most critical right now as you move from testing to full-scale operations?
Yeah, I mean, the next 3 years here, you're going to see us move through that scale, right? So we're all working towards type certification with the FAA for electric air taxis. Us and Joby are kind of blazing the trail in that regard. This past June, the president put in place an executive order that established what's called the EIPP, and I'll translate since it's another acronym. But it's basically an implementation program. It's a roadmap for the country to roll out advanced air mobility and air taxis. And so as part of that, over the next couple of years, you're going to see us go through those crawl, walk, run stages where, right, we're all in the process of working with local communities, cities and states to come up with applications of how we're going to participate in this program over the next 3-year time horizon that it's in place for. So between now and 28, we'll be working through all of the production ramp testing with the FAA to get to type certification and introduction of our aircraft as part of the EIPP program, and then eventually scaling into LA in 28 to support the Olympics.
Got it. So EIPP is eVTOL Initial Pilot Program. And right now, Joby and Archer are looking at areas with demand, right, for air taxi services. But here in the Central Coast, how do we position ourselves to be early adopters of eVTOL services? Yeah, or you or Bonnie.
Look, I mean, we already are early adopters in that, right, we've got the fabulous companies here who are building this stuff, but it's look at how are we going to use this stuff. So, right, I mean, we're looking at ways to utilize this technology, not just within air taxi services, but how can we use it within the farming community? So we've been talking to many of the folks within the communities about how we can do that, right? So there's other applications that we can bring this stuff to. We also have a defense aircraft that's, currently under development that would give far greater range and would be unmanned as well. So there's plenty of different use cases. We often joke that this aircraft that you saw over at Salinas fly during the air show is the worst thing we're ever going to bring to market. It's our Roadster, right? It's going to be the product that you look back a few years from now and you say, why did we bring that product to market? But we've got to get to market. We've got to prove that this technology is safe. It's ready to go. It's everything that we've promised over the last 10 years. And then we've got to continue to iterate from there.
Got it. And how about you, Bonnie?
Sure. So I think for us, making this very personal. For example, I'm sure at some point in your over the next couple of months, you have to make a trip up across over Highway 17 or 101 and get up to the peninsula or San Francisco, and you're dreading that, right? It's going to take 2 hours each way, all of your time. Imagine if you could do it in about 15 minutes. Pop over to Marina Airport, head on up to, say, San Carlos Airport. Take about 15, 20 minutes. think about how much more efficient that is. Now you can think about the cost of that. If you were to actually do it on an Uber, I checked it this morning, it's $157. Now, I'm not to say they'd be doing it on Uber, but imagine if it would be less than that. Think about the cost on your car too, the mileage, the time. And so if you could get it underneath the cost of that, say $100, $150, $120 to do that, then you get 4 more hours into your day, how useful that is. Now, I've mentioned airports. Yes, we're going to build some vertiports, but I think it's important to understand the infrastructure. It is, and this is something about our local communities and some of the work that's happening on the company, and I'd love to hear from her as well, is electrifying our the airports that are already here. Sure, at Marina, we have a charger for our aircraft. You've got one there in Salinas, but making some universal chargers in all of the airports in the region, it makes it very, very accessible. Getting that infrastructure, it's really neat with the grants that have come up to allow to really empower this region.
Thank you, Bonnie. And last but not least, Lavera, thank you very much for doing all the legwork to bringing that $7.5 million grant here in our area for the advanced air mobility infrastructure. Now that we've heard from the OEMs, could you speak about the roles that MBEP and the Tech Hub are playing in advancing the region's leadership in advanced aviation?
Sure, we secured this funding to be able to coordinate the flights, some routes between the 4 airports that came on board to partner with us, Watsonville, Hollister, Marina, and Salinas. Now, they had been talking about doing something similar for a while. This was not a brand new situation, but what we did, we came in and we put meat on the bones. We took an idea, fleshed it out, and we built something that the state said it wanted to invest in. I want to say that the state made 2 investments in this sector, one for Vandenberg and the other for CAMSI. That's major because of all of the funding that came out of California Jobs First. The only region to receive funding for advanced air mobility is this region. And so we are going to build that flight network that will allow them to do all the things that they've been talking about here and more. We also know that in doing so, we'll open up a space for high-paying jobs. I did a lot of work in my earlier years with NASA and Northrop Grumman building out workforce programs. And that's one of the exciting things about CAMSI, the potential. One of the things that we pitched to the state when we were invited to come and talk about this project was the promise of what this program can do for the region. It's a smaller region in comparison to others, but it's mighty. And with this investment, we're going to build the first FAA-compliant flight network for advanced air mobility in the state. We will be the model for others to emulate, and we believe we're going to get it done. We have 24 months once the state says go, and we're going to be working with our partners, the airports, the OEMs, to make sure that we build something that not only stands, but allows everyone that utilizes it to take flight in the way that they envision. So we're excited, we're ready to get to work, and we're also excited to be working with Sarah Sena, who's going to be helping us in this venture.
Thank you. I think that wraps up all the questions that I had. Does the panel want to say anything specific to the audience, or does it?
I think for those of you, and I said we operate almost every day at Marina Airport. I timed it this morning. I came here. It was 11 minutes. It's a public airport. Our flight test is right out in front of the fence. Anybody, you can take your family, you can come. We typically, now if it's foggy, we're not flying, but it's beautiful right now. We're in that time of the year. We even often fly on Saturdays. Come see us. And I remember when I first was interested in Joby, and this is in 2017. I say that I wanted to go see the aircraft. Instead, it was my reaction when I came out is I wanted to hear. It's unbelievably quiet. When you think of aviation, people tend to think of noise. It is, and eVTOLs, or advanced air mobility, but in particular the eVTOLs, it's quiet. It's a lot more quiet. And this allows us to get into the community. So I encourage you to come look at the aircraft, see it fly. It's middle of the day most of the days.
Thank you, Bonnie. And you guys are also doing a lot in the community to build public trust with being quiet. We also saw you guys
Yeah,
at
that's
the
it. I
Salinas
mean,
Air
it's really,
Show.
we need to, and it's kind of building on what Eric said. We've getting out into the communities, giving jobs, but also just be proud. This is an amazing region. We are changing the world, and it is happening right here in Marina and Salinas.
Yeah, I mean, imagine Boeing and Airbus were both born in Seattle, right? And that's the opportunity we've got with Joby and Archer right here in the local community. And it's because of all the support you guys have given us over the last 5-10 years as companies. So thank you.
And we'll have you come on visit.
Come on
We're not
up.
too far away.
Anytime.
Exactly. We're located in Long Beach right now, and we are exploring this region for future expansion, in part because it's becoming an innovation hub for AAM.
Thank you. All right. I think the next thing is, I spent the last few years teaching adults what advanced air mobility was, what our current national airspace system, the infrastructure needs were. A lot of people, as far as in the history, the Federal Highway Act was established in 1956, and the Federal Aviation Act was soon after, and that was 1958. And that's when we developed our federal highway system, and that's where we developed our national airspace system. And we haven't really changed since the Eisenhower era. The last Modernization Act was the National Airspace System Act, and that was really modernizing what turned out to be our long-haul aircraft, right? Modernizing the jet age for optimization and efficiency. As someone said, advanced air mobility is a thunderbolt to the system. Because here we have these highly automated aircraft. They're flying at lower altitude. They're going to be utilizing the airports that we didn't actually modernize. They're underutilized general aviation airports, 4 of them out here, that 3 of them we actually brought the 20 federal agencies to see flights out over 2 years ago now. So this is a real pivotal moment, a real opportunity, but a lot of it, as we went around, part of the Advanced Air Mobility Coordination Leadership Act was also, I traveled cross country with my dog, Astro. My husband's there now, he didn't bring the dog, but meeting stakeholders from everywhere, and community-based organizations, state, local, tribal governments, and what is advanced air mobility? What are these aircraft? And there was a lot of general education. And so what I did with a lot of the content from training senior leaders in the government was we decided that not only does the public not understand when you go in a car, you know that you're going to have to drive on the road, but there's 6 million passengers a day that fly, and that little piece of that curtain is not, people don't understand what our skies are about or the systems that navigate. So under our foundation, we decided that this is a generational shift. The last 60 years, we were developing the jet age. We're in the Jetson age now. There's a lot of kids that are excited about this. So we're developing this educational animation series. And most of the team is out in the Los Angeles area. I got a writer from The Simpsons. Hollywood has a great amount of talent. And so anyway, this is the trailer.
give our panel,
The
our
future
esteemed
is
panel, a
now.
round of applause. This is amazing, and I think at a time when like public education and programming for our young people is being cut or compromised, it's really great to see Sarah, Sina, and Eden 8 and others step up to create some programming. We are running a little bit behind, and so I want to first give thanks to our panel who took time to be with us and share their expertise, and then I ask all of you to take a short 10-minute break and for everybody to come back at 11:10. Okay?
And I want to
11:10. Thank
say,
you.
we have a household of guests, so we're not going to stay through the afternoon. But I also like rainbows, and there is, we'll leave some cards here for the educators here. There's a QR code, so if you're interested. The episode is actually going to be done by the end of the year, the pilot episode.
Thank you so much again, folks. Thanks, panelists.